In the misty hollows of Appalachia, where ancient trees whisper secrets and forgotten towns slumber, there are tales that'll make your blood run cold. But don't you go thinking these are just campfire stories. No, sir. They're as real as the ground beneath your feet. Families that once called these mountains home, leaving behind a legacy of terror, blood, and mysteries that'll haunt you in your sleep. Tonight, we dig up the dirt on 8 Appalachian clans that put the fear of God into these here hills. Now, let me paint you a picture of Appalachia. It ain't no walk in the park, I tell ya. Folks here lived hard lives, cut off from the world, scraping by in poverty that'd make a preacher weep. The land was unforgiving, and so were the people. When families got to feuding, it wasn't just harsh words and dirty looks. No, sir. It was blood for blood, eye for an eye. In this rough and tumble world, crime flourished like kudzu on a summer day. Vengeance was served up hot, and superstition clung to these hills like morning fog. It was the perfect breeding ground for the kind of families that make the devil himself think twice about paying a visit. First up, we got the Hatfields and McCoys. You've probably heard of them, seeing as how they're about as famous as Elvis in these parts. Their feud? It wasn't just a little tiff over a borrowed plow. We're talking decades of killing, backstabbing, and enough bad blood to fill the Ohio River. Even today, you mention either name round here, and forecasts will go quiet, like they're afraid those old ghosts might be listening. Then there's the Sextons. Lord have mercy. Those folks had a mean streak wider than the Mississippi. They were known for laying in wait, ambushing their enemies when they least expected it. People used to say that if you crossed paths with a sexton, you might as well start digging your own grave. They didn't leave survivors, just widows and orphans. The Mullins family, now there's a bunch that'd keep you up at night. Smuggling, mysterious disappearances, murders that never got solved. That was their stock in trade. Folks still whisper that if you wander too deep into certain parts of the woods, you might just stumble over a Mullins family secret, buried 6 feet under. Speaking of things that go bump in the night, let's not forget the Boggs clan. These weren't your run-of-the-mill mountain folk. No, sir. People said they dabbled in the dark arts. Witchcraft, they whispered. Folks feared the Boggs not just for their quick tempers and quicker trigger fingers, but for the eerie feeling that followed them like a shadow. Some say they could curse you with a look. The Addams family, and no, I ain't talking about that TV show. They were a different kind of scary. These folks turned arguments over property lines into bloodbaths that'd make your stomach turn. In Appalachia, land was life, and the Addams made it clear they'd take both if you got in their way. Their feuds were a grim reminder that in these hills, a patch of dirt could be worth more than your life. Now, if you ever find yourself on a lonely mountain road after dark, pray you don't run into the descendants of the breeding family. These night owls made their name attacking travelers foolish enough to be out after sundown. To this day, there are stretches of road folks won't drive on after dusk, all on account of the breeding family's bloody reputation. The shepherds, well, they took that honor thy father bit from the good book a mite too seriously. For them, revenge wasn't just a dish best served cold. It was a family tradition, passed down like grandma's secret recipe. Cross a shepherd, and you weren't just making an enemy for life. You were starting a blood feud that could last generations. Last but Lord knows not least, we got the Osborns. Now here's a family that knew how to keep a secret. Murders that were never solved. Disappearances that baffled even the wiliest of lawmen. The Osborns left behind more questions than answers. Their legacy is like a splinter in the mind of Appalachian history. Always there, always nagging, never quite explained. You know, to this very day, you can find old homesteads out in these hills, abandoned and falling to pieces. But they ain't just rotting wood and rusty nails. They're silent witnesses to horrors that'd turn your hair white if the walls could talk. Folks round here, they still lower their voices when they speak of certain family names. It's like they're afraid that even mentioning them might conjure up something best left buried. Some say the very mountains themselves are keeping secrets, that the land is cursed by the blood spilled upon it, that the echoes of old feuds and forgotten crimes still ring out in the hollows, if you've got the ears to hear 'em. You gotta wonder, as the sun sets behind those blue-tinged peaks and the shadows grow long, are the descendants of these families still out there, watching, waiting? Maybe those old bloodlines ain't as dead as we'd like to think. Maybe they're just biding their time, ready to remind folks why their names used to strike fear into the hearts of even the bravest mountain men. But here's the real kicker. It's a question that'll keep you tossing and turning in your bed tonight. Were these just violent families, products of a harsh and unforgiving land? Or was there something more to it, something darker, something that these ancient mountains are still hiding from the light of day? So I'll leave you with this to chew on. Would you be brave enough, or fool enough, to spend a night on the old stomping grounds of these families? Or do you reckon it's all just tall tales and legend best left to scare the kids around the campfire? Me, I ain't taking no chances. These mountains have long memories, and some ghosts don't take kindly to being disturbed. But hey, if you're feeling adventurous, well, don't say I didn't warn ya. Sweet dreams, folks. The night has eyes, and they just might belong to one of these 8 families that haunted the region.